Hey guys, Jay here, and today I want to talk just, in depth and just focus on the gem setup of this AFK Pathfinder character. There's going to be two versions of the gem setup. The first one is going to be the current one that I'm using. The second one is going to be dedicated toward the original sin version. So that is the 400 divine ring, yeah, that convert all of the elemental damage into chaos. And that is going to be the very end game version, and it will result in two gem swap compared to this current setup. And I will mention them whenever it is necessary in this video. So let's just go through the setup of the gems here. This video is made just to basically break down a little bit on the part that I think is too much if I want to put in a build guide video. So this is going to be the first one. This next one I'm going to talk about the gear, and then finally I will release the third video on the guide of the character, and so it is going to be not too long and easier to follow basically. So first one is going to be cast when stunned, linked to detonate dead, chain reaction. This is going to be the main damage setup. The next link is going to be awaken deadly element, because we are a poison build, we skill poison mainly, so deadly element is very strong. Awaken unbound element, extremely strong for poison. It gives damage and duration for poison, which is also damage. Awaken elemental focus, the skill is still base as an elemental skill, and so overall it increases the base damage, and then it will help with because the base damage is increased, the poison damage is increased. Basically, POE is telling me this is one of the best support for it, so there it is. Next one currently is going to be awaken added chaos damage. We don't have full conversion from elemental to chaos yet. We only have two consuming dark dagger here, which convert 60% of chaos of fire damage to chaos. With the original sin, this awaken added chaos damage is no longer like one of the best gem. We are gonna switch it out for awaken void manipulation, but for now, this is the last choice in the gem setup for detonated chain reaction. Basically, this setup is quite simple. It's just trying to maximize the damage of the detonate chain reaction, right, in this poison build. Next setup is going to be cast when stunned, linked to desecrate. This is going to be the corpse generator, and currently I am linking it to spell cascade. Spell cascade and desecrate, previously, lastly, I have always been using this setup to make spell cascade spawn more than 5 corpses. It actually can spawn up to the maximum amount of corpses you can have. Currently in this build is 10. If you take the corpse build, you can have 12. But currently it's 10, and for each cast of desecrate, currently if it's linked to spell cascade, it is going to create 10 corpse. And the problem with this is, just like 2-3 days ago, there was a bug. I thought it was a shadow nerf, but apparently it's like a bug, and then GG fixed it. So before, a few days before, desecrate linked to spell cascade will still only summon 5 corpses. For now, it is working again. It is summoning 10 corpses per cast, and so we can use desecrate with spell cascade. Basically, we don't have to have an additional unearth setup for extra corpses. This is enough, right? Desecrate and spell cascade. The desecrate only needs to be level 20 or so, because the corpses cap out at level 100, which is achievable with level 20. So you don't really need to have a level 21 gem. You don't need to use empower or anything like that. Just level 20 would be enough. Also, the quality cast speed, we don't need that. We cast when stunned, so we don't use cast speed anyway. So yeah. Currently, I am linking this to steel skin in the current setup. This can be replaced with the same color. It can be replaced with punishment. Currently, I am using 2 curses in the build with allocate whisper of doom, and the current 2 curses are enfeeble and despair for this version in particular. But whenever we have the original sin, we are not going to be benefiting from the despair anymore, because the chaos resistance of the enemy is always 0 according to the original sins effect. Then despair is no longer something useful. Then we can use punishment to swap in here for steel skin. And by the way, in the endgame version, we don't really need a guard skill. It is kind of, you know, first of all, it's inconsistent. It does help, but it's not up all the time. So my best choice to replace it in the blue socket is gonna be Firestorm of Pelting. It's gonna add a good amount of hits, just small hits. The purpose of those small hits is I'm gonna explain a little bit later with additional gems in here. But just so you know, the current choice that I do is steel skin over here, right? Next, cast when stunned with 2 cursors. I mean, normally, if you have the final setup, you can also change the color of this one to put Firestorm and Pelting over here, so it's easier to track, right? And Firestorm Pelting, I'm not sure if it works with Spell Cascade, but if it does, then it do increase the amount of hits. I don't think so, though. But, you know, just linked wherever you have the right color socket. Next setup, very utility, cast when stunned with Enfeeble and Despair. And then Cremation of the Volcano. Cremation of the Volcano along with Tornado of Elemental Turbulence. And then eventually, if I swap to Firestorm Pelting, those... sorry. Those are the 3 skills that have a lot of hits per second. And why do I use all of them? Well, the Pathfinder here, you have the Pathfinder, you have the Nature's Repraiser here, which gives you 25% to wither for 2 seconds on hit. So the more hits you can generate, the more consistent you can have 15 stacks of wither. And also, because this is 50% increased effect of wither, so the wither is not only applying 6% increased chaos damage taken, it actually applies 15. I mean, it actually applies 9% per stack, and stack up to 15 times. Well, that is 135% increased damage taken. It is very, very strong. We use a large amount of hits because, for example, in Simulacrum, I will say Simulacrum because I normally farm Simulacrum with this build. The situation where you really need a lot of single target is whenever you are soloing Kosiths. And Kosiths, among with a lot of other bosses in the game, you know, they do not actually hit the character very often. They do like big slam, they do channeling, they do, you know, damage over time stuff. Those does not really synergy well with cast when stun. We need a bunch of hits that happens rapidly. So because we don't receive that much hit, that means 2 things. First of all, cooldown recovery doesn't do shit to this build in terms of increasing damage whenever it actually is needed, right? Whenever you are swarmed 10 times per second, because cast when stunned has a cooldown time base of only 0.1 second. So 10 casts per second is always more than enough for anything. So I think Pathfinder is superior than Saboteur in that sense. But when you really need the single target DPS, normally you don't even reach that much cast per second, basically. And so I think Pathfinder is just better for poison because of the wither, right? And also Pathfinder also have poison prolif, which helps, and also 20% chance to deals 100% more poison damage, which is extra damage, right? Basically 20% more damage. Yeah. Another purpose of all the multiple hitting skill is going to be triggering the life gain per enemy hit while affected by vitality. I am using a level 1 vitality because I have this sublime vision as well. It is 15% life over 1 second when you're affected by vitality. This is basically regen, and I'll show you, right? Currently, life regen per second, right? Let's see. Let's get hit. Let me actually trigger this mirror of delirium. Okay, let's get hit, right? We can still stay here and there's more. So take a look at the number of regen, right? Whenever we fighting monster, whenever we get hit, we can get like close to 2000, 2500 in this case, basically just from the sublime vision. Normally I don't really have that much regen, but from the sublime vision here, and also from the doppelganger's guys, which is the chest that I use, I have 25% regen on hit for 1 second. And we, with this build, we always try to get hit. We always get hit when we fight monster, right? And that is a huge amount of regen that will helps to mitigate any kind of damage over time that we take during the fight as well. So this is very nice. That explain why we choose vitality also. Why vitality number 1? Well, we are blood magic, so I want to save as much health pool as possible for the Defiance of Destiny, because the Defiance of Destiny work, it heals based on the amount of unreserved life. So this gray thing over here, it needs to be as little as possible. You don't want to reserve a lot, and I only reserve for petrified blood, which is like mandatory for tanky build, I think, and also vitality. Vitality, if I level it up, it'll just give me some regen, which I already have a lot of, so I just keep it at level 1, so I save a bunch of health in the reservation, right? So that explains the few spells that I link to cast when stun. Another one that is linked to cast when stun, that is utility, which is voice sphere rending. Well, the mod that we actually care about in voice sphere rending is enemies in range are hindered. Why do we want to hinder the enemy? Because we are using touch of cruelty in our cluster jewel, so they take 10% increased cast damage. And we have another one here, so it's another 10%. So I want a source of very consistent hinder, and so I choose voice sphere rending. It always apply. It has no cooldown like the normal voice sphere. It doesn't consume corpses like the normal voice sphere, and it looks pretty nice, right? So I choose this one. Flame Dash is the standalone movement skill that I use. Normally, this character is not really set up for mapping. For mapping, I would have the Quicksilver Flask here, so I will be faster. I just stay in this map here just to demonstrate a little bit, right? But yeah. Flame Dash, that's just a movement skill, right? Automation and Plague Bearer. Why do we use this one? I think it is a net positive in terms of damage taken, because take a look at the number. It will always switch between storing the damage and releasing the damage, basically. And so you have a consistent amount of damage over time, just almost always on your character. It is like a half a second cooldown. Oh, it's actually a 1 second cooldown. That is even better. You don't need to worry about the cooldown of it. The longer is actually the better, because it stay in the damage releasing form for longer. But basically the uptime of the damage on Plague Bearer will always be 50%. Alright, and it helps mostly with map clear, I would say, because whenever you run through map here, it acts like a mini righteous fire effect that is gonna help with killing the monster near you faster, right, before you even cast the skill. As you can see, alright, to see the damage before we even detonate that or doing anything like that, the monster is already taking some damage, and it smooths out the map clear quite a bit for this particular build. If you are playing a chieftain, you have the proliferation, so your map clear is good. But this build in particular, the map clear is actually not that good if you always have to stop all the time. Ooh, the rats. I like rats. Okay, so I put it on the automation, so I don't have to press it. It would just constantly be being activated. And also, one nice thing is it helps you to break the barrels, the urns, You know, those kind of things that you can actually break. Just pretty nice. Just extra quality of life. You never know. Maybe you get a divine from a rock. Maybe you get a... Maybe... I heard someone even have a fucking mirror from opening a chest. I have seen a clip, very old. It's quite hard to find though. But you know, those kind of things can happen, and I mean, it helps, right? If you don't need it, if you don't feel like you need it, you can just replace it with anything. But I personally would keep this one in the setup. Next one, enduring cry and call to arm. Enduring cry and call to arm is just going to be, first of all, our source of endurance charge generation, right? So if you are fighting a boss, or if you always are near monster, it will keep your endurance charges up all the time, basically. Shit. Wait, let me actually fight this one here. And just stay here. And also, it gives a huge amount of regen, by the way. Why is this good? Well, the regen is very good, you know, against some certain situation where you takes a lot of damage over time, basically. And especially this one is very good in the simulacrum where you fight Kosis. If you do fight Kosis with this setup and you survive through the channeling beam, right? If you stand in the channeling beam of Kosis, take the damage over time, you'll see that just this setup will always just near the end of the channeling, which is pop you back up to, you know, half health, which is the maximum health you should have and can have in this build. And you know, basically you cannot die to the next slam or the next attack. You are at a very healthy amount of health, basically. And so yeah, that is why enduring cry and call to arms is here. I think it is the best setup. You can even use this to generate endurance charge, and then use like steel skin or something like that. As you can see here, right, we are near a boss, just endurance charge, and we gain 4 endurance charge, just enduring cry, and we gain 4 endurance charges. I have no other source of it. See, 12 seconds again. So yeah, this map is having reduced cooldown recovery, yeah, and also temp chain. Without temp chain and without increased cooldown recovery, it is 8 seconds for the cooldown of enduring cry and 10 seconds for duration of endurance charges. So normally we do have all the endurance charges. Well, that is the gem setup. That is everything I want to mention in this video in particular. I will have more videos on other part of this build to you know, basically explain everything. I try to explain everything, and finally it's going to be a build guide going through, you know, the whole setup. And yeah, well, we just saw a Elder Guardian kill. It's not very fast. This build is not made for like doing bosses. So yeah, one final tip before I end the video here. Right here, if you want to do map bosses with this build, I would recommend you to take destructive play and just do Maven influence, because destructive play, you know, you add more bosses into the arena of the boss. They stay close to each other. There are more sources of hit that they can, you know, trigger the cast when stun for us, and so it is working in our favor instead of against. So I really liked the destructive play system. When I take it, I think I never drop it for this build for whatever kind of LS strategy that I want to kill the map boss. So yeah, that is everything for this video. Please like if you think this is helpful or interesting, and see you in the next video. Peace.